Art is an ever-changing subject with new styles and techniques being developed every day, being developed and created every single day, making art more abstract and more natural and even more realistic. Hello, my name is Matthew Gaio, and today I'll be exploring how ancient sculptures evolved from a naturalistic style into a realistic style. And this is my personal preference, as you could tell from the beginning image I created. So, to start off, I want to talk about the large kneeling statue of Hatshepsut. So I decided to show four pieces. I want to show a piece from before, where I believe to be the shifting point, where they started to dive in to the change, and then where I believe they have fully mastered it. So, going back to the slides, where I want to start off is going to be the large kneeling statue of Hatshepsut. So this piece was found in Deir el-Bahari of Upper Egypt and between 1479 and 1458 BCE. It is made completely of granite and it is from the New Kingdom era, otherwise known as the 18th dynasty. And this piece exhibits a female pharaoh offering gifts to her god, as you can see. And this piece is very, very stiff, but it is still symmetrical, and it does have a lot of symbolic religious ties. And it's like a clear idolization of the typical Egyptian art, as it has a clear emphasis on the symbolic figures, aka the god offerings, as you can see in its hand. It's offering two pots and two for their god. And also an emphasis on the divine order rather than the identity of the figure itself. There's not really much attention to the physical anatomy of the figure. You can obviously tell this is a human from the position of the arms and the body and the torso along with the head, even the feet. You can obviously tell this is a human, don't get me wrong. It's just that they don't have a clear emphasis on the actual individuality of this person. And as you can tell from this next slide, this does start to slightly change, but then after that, it just becomes more and more prominent. So next up I want to talk about is going to be Kouros of Attica. So this piece was found in Anavisos, Greece at around 600 BCE, and it is made completely of marble during the Archaeatic Greece. This piece was clearly influenced by Egyptian forms, as you can see, and this is where I believe the shifting point begins from a naturalistic into a realistic standpoint. This is what I believe to be my MVP throughout this entire presentation, as I believe this starts to dive in. Since this is sorry, getting ahead of myself. This is where artists begin to better understand the human body, and from how the muscles move, how the skin stretches, and even how to balance the body weight. And you can even see how the body itself is twisting and turning along with the other figures and objects in the piece, as you'll see in one of the later pieces I'm gonna show. Although this piece, don't get me wrong, is still a little rigid and stiff, this piece begins to dive into the anatomy of humans and how they implemented this into the pieces. It is very, very symmetrical, yet with the more detail on the muscles, bones, and even posture. So the figure in this piece, Kouros, is a nude male youth figure, as it kind of represents the beauty and heroism along with the courage of it. It has long braided hair, as you can see right here, although it does look a little flat. This is going to change later on within the next piece. With the left foot forward, giving a gesture taken from the Egyptian pharaohs. Now, would you believe me if I said that this piece right here was just a modernization of the last piece? You could tell, but it is very, very surprising, as this was only from a 70-year difference. So, oops, sorry about that. This is the modern version of the Kouros. This is only 70 years later, and the differences are just night and day, in my opinion. The body is a lot more round. The muscles are a lot more hefty with the slight contraction. The shifted weight from the feet, making it look as if he is in like a mid-step trying to find balance, is just like incredible to me, in my opinion. It's just insane. This dates back to 530 BCE, and it's just where I believe they really, really, really start to understand the human body and how it works. Although there isn't as much as an emphasis on like the pectoral muscles or the abdomen, you can still see the details are there, from the biceps, from the forearms, the quadriceps, and even from the calves right here. Even from the details underneath, you could tell where they put like the kneecap and everything, even from the position of the feet. It's just incredible, in my opinion. It's just absolutely incredible. Then the next piece that I want to talk about is going to be the Farnese Hercules after Lipsippos. So this piece was found in the baths of Caracalla, Rome, and it dates back into the original piece dates back into the 4th century BCE, while this is a Roman copy and dates back to the 3rd century CE. It is made entirely of marble, and this is from around the late classical period. So this piece is, as I mentioned before, is a Roman copy of the Greek bronze by Lysippos, and the piece has a huge emphasis on the pectoral muscles, along with the triceps and the biceps. The triceps from the biceps to the abdomen, the shoulders, the forearms, the quadriceps, the calves. It's just incredible. I believe that this is where they truly have understood how the body works and how it should interact with other objects in the piece. You can see that Hercules is seen leaning on a club in exhaustion. This is probably either after a long battle or probably after tackling one of the many challenges he had to overcome to become a god. And with this, you could tell that he's extremely exhausted as he's shifting his weight onto the club, kind of leaning on it and resting on it. And it just really makes the piece look a lot more real and authentic. So as you could tell, he's just like 1 foot in front, he's resting, he's leaning. And this is where I believe just completely masters the human body, the anatomy of it, from the muscles, from the way the body is bent and leaned forward, from the bones, from the skins, everything. This is where I believe that it's just like completely perfect. And it's like what I wanted to bring up to you guys. And then here you go. At the end, that's everything right there. Be all the sources that I use. I did take a lot of information from the text that was provided through this course. I also did look up from a lot of information outside. So